Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and welcome to show and tell number 66. Come here, Curzon. Come here. He just got a shoe thrown at him, so he's kind of mad now. He just sat down, and he decided he was going to go try to eat some yarn. Yep, he's gone now. Anyway, you guys. So, where to start with all this stuff? Let's start with the cards I made. That'll be a good place to start. I hope you guys have had a better week than I have. It's not that it's been a bad week. I've just been very scatterbrained. I've had a hard time, focusing, and a lot of the things I've worked on, with the exception of my Just Feel Festive shawls, you have those weeks where you really want to do stuff, but you're not feeling inspired at the same time. So anyway, these are the cards that I showed you last week from the Minions pads. I can't remember if they were by EK Success or We Are Memory Keepers, but it's not a paper company. I generally think of as being a paper company. I think of them as a tool company. So while I flip through these, I kind of want to talk to you guys about something I experienced with this and a couple other pads, and wondering if you guys have noticed the same thing in certain aspects of your life, aside from crafting maybe, or with crafting. But yeah, so as I was going through this paper pad, I noticed a lot of the colors don't really go together, and a lot of the patterns really aren't useful or helpful patterns. They're not cohesive. It was very difficult to use this pad or these pads, but I've noticed that a lot with a lot of these licensed paper pads, and I've noticed it in some other aspects of my life. Use different colors here for the background, but they all are more or less the same. And I'm wondering if you guys have kind of felt the same way, where a lot of these licensed things maybe feel a little bit like a cash grab, where there's no thought or effort put into the product. And they're just kind of thrown out there on the market just because they're themed. I know I've seen a number of the makeup channels kind of complaining about that when it comes to the Disney makeup collections, and I know there was a lot of pushback against the Museum of Ice Cream collaboration that Sephora did last year or year before last or something. But I don't think I've ever noticed it so much with the crafting community. I think this is something kind of newer with the crafting community I'm seeing, or the companies that make crafting supplies. And I was wondering if you guys had noticed it too. I mean, in these paper pads specifically, so you had prints on one side of the paper, solids or solid-ish on the other side, and the solids didn't really match the colors necessarily. I mean, you can see here, these are different shades of red, and these are both from the same paper pack, but all of the colors in the paper were this more orangey color. But we got this more primary red is the solid. I don't know. I love getting themed things. I love looking at these licensed paper pads. I enjoy things, you know, like the Crayola yarn. I mean, I kind of bought this more for the nostalgia, but I haven't used this yet. I've just touched it, and I've seen where other people have worked with it and really enjoyed it. It's a very soft yarn. It's a very plump yarn. It feels really good. So to me, this isn't so much a cash grab, even though it definitely costs more than it ought to. To me, this is still a quality product. It's just overpriced because of the cost involved in licensing. But I've noticed with a lot of these paper packs, there's a washi tape collection I had gotten a while back that was a licensed character themed. I bought it at Joann's, I think, a couple years ago. The quality of the tape really was horrible. It, even brand new, was very gummy. It didn't come off the roll very nicely or anything. Like I mentioned, you know, there have been a couple of makeup incidents where the product itself just isn't good. It's not usable. It's not. And I was just wondering if you guys had noticed that kind of creeping more into crafting. I know a number of you guys have also done paper crafting, scrapbooking, and things like that. And I was wondering if maybe you guys had kind of noticed that yeah, I was a little disappointed. It was a little frustrating. By the time I got through the first 30 cards, which were the ones where you saw the multiples of the same exact card, no changes, exact same card. After that, like, the rest of the paper pack was really hard to use for me because the colors didn't coordinate. It wasn't just they didn't match. They didn't coordinate at all. And it wasn't designed to be used with itself. Sorry, I just kicked the stand a little bit. And that was kind of frustrating for me, that it literally did not feel designed to work with itself. And I was, yeah, not mad, but frustrated. It made crafting with it a lot more frustrating than it should have been. And I've had paper packs that don't suit my purposes necessarily, but are still good, or they still at least work with themselves. A couple years ago, I did St. Patrick's Day cards with a Doodlebug collection. I know Just Crafts used the same 6x6 paper pack that I did, or from that collection. And to me, it felt like they took a Valentine's paper pack and switched the hearts to shamrocks and anything red to green. And the cards are cute. I got a lot of multi-purpose cards out of that collection, but I didn't get the St. Patrick's Day cards I needed out of that. Back when I was doing my Easter cards, I talked about the religious Easter pack that I used. I really loved all the papers, and everything went together really nicely, but it wasn't necessarily Easter, and I had a hard time getting Easter cards out of it specifically. But other things I mean, same designer, same company, the secular Easter pack that I used, I got a lot of amazing cards, and it was a lot of fun to go through it because everything went together so nicely. No matter which piece of paper I put with something, it at least coordinated. And this was a case where the colors didn't match, the patterns didn't go together, there was no plan. There was a lot of duplicates in it in different colors. And the solids we got like 2 different grays, 3 different blues, 2 different reds. I mean, everything in the paper pack that was red was a very orangey red. But then the solid they give us is that very cherry. So it actually clashed. When you put it together, it didn't work together. It didn't. Yeah. I was really annoyed. That was a little frustrating for me. So I'm wondering if you guys, and please comment down below because I genuinely want to know, have you guys noticed that kind of happening more and more in the crafting community? I know our community is so small. It's not as common to have those kinds of collaborations, and it's not as common to have that kind of thing. I know it's very much fabric and paper crafting generally, but we're seeing more collaborations. We're seeing more nostalgic throwbacks or things that are branded for, you know, TV shows, movies, and things like that. I know a friend of mine sews, and she had a really hard time with a major brand's patterns for costumes for a specific show. She said it looks like they took their Halloween costume, put that in the pattern pieces, but all of the details that made it this show's clothing were kind of sloppily like cut and pasted into the pattern. So even the pattern pieces weren't quite the right size for certain things, and she had a lot of issues working with that pattern specifically. So I kind of like your guys' feedback on this. I'm wondering if this is just a me issue. Or if you guys have noticed something very similar happening in the crafting supplies world. So on to Happy Mail real quick. I finally remembered to bring Marsha's card down. And how gorgeous is that? She is another card maker here on YouTube, and she crochets and has a channel, which I'll leave linked down below. But I absolutely love getting her cards. They're all so beautiful. She does completely different kinds of paper crafting than I do, even though we use so many of the same supplies. We have very different styles. And this is a sweet thank you card from Michelle. I did go by my post office yesterday, so I finally got my mail. And this one is from Jennifer. I think I got that right. Yes. Miss Cinnamon Stitches herself. How cute is that? Thank you so much, you guys. I love getting mail. I'm going to kind of do a craft room tour, where things are now kind of video on Saturday, and you guys will see where a lot of these hang up on my wall. Before we get to my crochet finished objects, I do want to talk about my acquisition. And this actually came today, so it's actually kind of a good thing I had to come back and refilm. But I got my Maker of the Month Club bag from Christy, Different Tea Doddles. Miss Christy Cook. So the theme for this month was mix it up. And I've mentioned on here many times that I like to cook and particularly bake. It's been a lot harder with my dietary restrictions, but I still do quite a bit of it. So first off, we got, to me, this will probably go in a junk journal, but a journaling page, scrapbooking page. We got some beautiful recipe cards. I really love these. And then she also sent us some tags to put on our homemade goodies. I love her like the way she's doing these as a kit, or not a kit, but a little collection for you. This is what I mean. Coordinating. It coordinates. Everything is coordinated. It doesn't match. It coordinates. We got 2 little packages of cookies. I already told Troy that he has those coming, so he's kind of excited. We got some baker's twine, which will go with my junk journaling stuff. Yeah, I keep saving these things like I'm in a junk journal, but one day. So our maker charms are these. How cute. Now, I know she had a hard time getting the seed bead onto the little sprinkle beads onto the cupcake. But how worth it is it as the customer. That is so cute. And I love the little muffin tin. I think that's the cutest thing ever. Yeah. We got a little pack of cinnamon. And this will be going in my cup as soon as we're done filming. You want to see the bag? Do you want to see the bag? Precious! And I love that vintage Pyrex there, just saying. I absolutely love these. And I love the beautiful gingham print. And then the print on the inside. So she used the same designer's fabric for the outside and inside fabric. And this is what I mean. Coordination. It coordinates. It's a coordinate. How cute. Yeah, so I'm very happy with that. I'm so enjoying these. I got my order in for next month already. That's my only acquisition. It's so weird after... So my first year I did so much buying because I was making up for where I didn't buy in 2018. So 2019, I had so many acquisitions in my videos. Like, it's still weird this year not having a bunch of purchases to show you guys. This has not been used, this hole here, this has not been used yet. I just took this upstairs to be used. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen I shared a picture and I will put it here. I have my first hole in the yarn wall. I did fill it with the cube basket that has my alpha stickers and word stickers for scrapbooking on it. So that is now sitting directly behind my desk. So I can just spin around and grab what I need or fiddle through it. Very, very excited. So we'll go from least anticipated to most anticipated finished objects here. So first off is my dishcloth that I got done. Last week I did the one that was tangerine with the yellow border. This one's yellow with hot green. And I've already started the hot green with the tangerine. So I'd originally planned on gifting these as a set, but I might keep them because I'm really loving the citrus dishcloth set. You can definitely tell, like, I've basically spent an hour and a half talking, trying to film today. My throat is very, very dry. Yeah, so I got my shawl in a ball. Woohoo! Just feel festive shawl done. I really didn't know how I was going to like the rhombus shape. I really like it. I actually think, yeah, I've said it before with other patterns, you know, things that just drape right. They actually stay put when you put them on. I think the cattywampus shape actually helps this to stay when you put it on, which is really awesome. Now, I have not blocked this yet. I haven't done any blocking this week. But I used 1 3/4 balls of shawl in a ball. I got this from Cheryl Bolts last year. I really love the colors. I really love the fit. And one of the things I'm really liking about the ones I'm seeing done in these size 4 yarns that feel thinner is the fact that they can be a scarf too. So I find for my purposes, I really like dual purpose garments and dual purpose accessories. So for me, this is perfect. It's like a little wrap to keep the chill off your shoulders for the summer. And then it can be a scarf in the spring. Right now we've gone from feels like 40 to feels like 80 in 24 hours. God bless humidity. So I'm really enjoying this. I really love the colors. I love the way it worked up. I had a blast making it. It's one of those, once you get started, it's completely mindless, which I can appreciate. A lot of the projects I've had have just taken all of my brain powers. So I'm really happy to have had a couple of projects now that, you know, once again, give my brain a place to just rest. I can make and be entertained and keep my hands busy, but I don't have to think. And my other one, surprisingly enough, got finished in time for today. I actually finished this last night. So if you remember last week, I asked you guys' opinion on whether or not I should use the Blossomopolis yarn from Hobby Lobby or my hand-dyed to make a Just Feel Festive shawl for the 80s Kids Mail. This is the Blossomopolis. It did not work up how I thought it would work up crocheted. I have 2 balls left, or 2 skeins left. I am going to knit a hat in stockinette stitch, and I am thinking about doing the Ross hat, or not the Ross hat, the Crumble Scarf by Ross in the same yarn. And I'm curious how it's going to look in the fabric and see if that's more what I expected, because the color shots in this are very, very short. It's kind of glazed and speckled with the neons. So I didn't expect it to be, you know, striated, but I didn't quite expect this either. It's even more confetti-ish than I thought it was going to be, which is just amazing. I used 3 whole skeins. I had enough to do 2 rounds on the little tiny granny squares. That's all I had left, was just this itty bitty little tiny amount. I have not blocked this yet. Once I'm done blocking it, it'll be more drapey and it'll be a little bit longer, but so very happy. To me, this is like neon acid wash. Like you had a confetti brush stroke acid wash or fabric, and then you acid washed it. And I think that makes me like it more. I'm so surprised at how muted and dynamic this is at the same time. I really don't know how well that's reading on camera. I don't think it's quite as, you're missing the impact of it, I think. But I'm very happy. I'm very happy with how this turned out. The right call was definitely, even though it wasn't what I intended to do, the right call was definitely going ahead and doing this. Using this yarn for it. The neon green, I think, and the pink in the hand-dyed I did would also look great in a Just Feel Festive shawl. But I'm looking for a pattern probably more like the Katie and the Squid pattern I just did. The Mothy Squid wrap. Or Squid Dance wrap. Mothy Squid. Wow, my brain, y'all. I think I want to do something more like that with it now. But I think I want to knit it instead of crochet it. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet. And as I'm sitting here, like, I have a beautiful rose colored, it's like a fuchsia with lime green, hot green speckles in it. And that's like catching my eye over there is like, oh, you should work me next. So this weekend I plan on trying to work on that Pale Moon shawl from Mount Meadow Wool some. I plan on picking up my sweater again and trying to do the sleeves. Once again, it's that brain thing. I've been so mentally fatigued the last couple weeks. Actually going in to do that it's a lot of thought, and it's going to take a lot of work to get it just right. It's going to be a lot of knitting an inch, trying it on, knitting an inch, trying it on, and going back and forth to make sure that I'm getting the right length and fit on those sleeves. So we'll see. We'll see if I get to it. It's just going to be a lot more involved than I've been wanting to be recently, but can't tell if rain or cats running around upstairs. That's the downside when you're home alone and you're filming, like, so this is like a basement level space, and the entrance to the house is actually upstairs. So it's like my house is flipped upside down. So it's like really, really weird when you hear like movement upstairs, but you're supposed to be alone. But it could be the cats, but based on where you are, it could also be rain, and you can't quite tell if that's rain or something actually moving overhead. No, that's Troy coming home. That's Troy walking around. Okay, well, I told you guys it was later than I normally film, so I guess it really is later. Yeah, so on Saturday, I'm hoping to have a video up where I kind of do a tour of where I've moved things around a little bit and show you how I set up when I do these big card things, like when I'm doing all the Christmas cards at once or all the Halloween cards at once, or, you know, by the way, this was 69 cards, 1.76 pounds of paper crafting. But I kind of have a process for how I set up my desk for when I go in for a big project like this, where I know I'm going to be working on one specific kind of thing. So I'm hoping to have that up where I kind of walk you through how I use my organization and desk space for those. I have some, you kind of are going to get a peek behind the OCD need for organization, because you see a lot of label making in my craft room. A heavy use of a label maker. But I kind of want to show you, I've spent a lot of time last weekend and last week organizing things down here and kind of moving things more to where they're going to be used, or where if I'm doing something, I have better access to them as I'm using them. So then I also point out where I still have things to go through. Part of this is the move and getting used to a new space. Part of this is just, I never fixed it to begin with. So it'll be a process, but I haven't really done a room tour since I first unpacked everything into here, and got like the yarn up. I kind of showed you how I had the yarn organized, but I never really got to show you guys the rest of the room because I dove straight into the holiday stuff and then got mentally fatigued and never really came back to it. So I did spend some time with that. It's not perfect yet. It'll probably be, it took me almost 18 months to get the last one situated. So I got about a year with it. The only thing I never got fixed was how to sew in that room. And I think I have a good plan for how to put away paper crafting to pull out sewing for this space. So I have a much better layout, at least for that. Anyway, you guys, take care. I love you, and I will see you again on Saturday. Bye, guys.